I just kept thinking achieving more would make me feel better. It would take these dark feelings away and this feeling that still lives in the pit of my stomach. I will get rid of this anxiety because I will have achieved this. And yet that's kind of where depression arises, when you think that your brain is going to change. You go back to that baseline after that huge dopamine hit and that achievement, and you're left with the same brain that you've always had without doing the work.
He is a 5-time NBA All-Star, an Olympic gold medalist, 2016 NBA champion, and one of the most important voices in the mental health conversation. Please welcome Kevin Love. You spent 9 years not speaking to both your mom and dad.
A lot of times I say less friends, less bull. And in the case, it happened to be my family. But on the other side of that, it was so many great moments of me finding myself and being comfortable in my own skin.
What do you think is at the root that you need to really heal?
I think it's
I'm so glad that you're here. I've been trying to have you on for a while, but you're a busy guy, always, playing in season. But we have a number of things in common. One, we're both athletes. Two, you lived a long time in Ohio. You won a championship in Ohio.
8.5 years. Yep.
I'm from Ohio. Thank you for your service of bringing a championship to Ohio. We're both have 2 daughters.
Yes.
And we both lost our fathers recently.
Yeah.
And we've both been through our own healing journeys and talking about what it means to be a man and deal with a lot of psychological and emotional wounds that we don't know how to navigate, or we didn't know how to navigate until we started opening up.
Right.
So I want to acknowledge you first, Kevin, for being a voice of possibilities for so many people, specifically men, that, us growing up, we didn't have a space typically around our parents or around our peers to talk about our feelings or emotions, to talk about the confusion in our heart and our minds of why we're feeling something. And so most of our childhood grew up being driven to prove people wrong, driven to figure out how to overcome the anger emotion, because we didn't know how to communicate anything else, and driven to succeed to prove our value. So I want to acknowledge you for the last 7-8 years, opening up about your own mental and emotional challenges, being public about it, and creating a space for lots of not only young men, but also women to start to say, what can I do to start looking within myself about these emotions and mental challenges, start using them as a voice to my peers or getting help and improve my life. So I want to acknowledge you for the journey you've been on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, it's very meaningful to be here. I think it takes a tribe, takes an army, and it's an accumulation having people like yourself in the space speak about it. So how many episodes again have we done?
I think we're like 1,800.
So 1,800. I'm very happy to be a part of this. And,
it's great, man.
No, just continuing to try and keep moving the needle forward.
It's great, man.
It's very important work.
And I'm curious because, it's a couple of things that are fresh for you in your mind right now. You just finished the season for yourself. We were talking about this idea of athlete mortality.
Yes.
You don't know how many more years you have left. If you're supposed to keep playing, if you're not supposed to keep playing, your heart says you should, but you have 2 young daughters.
Yep.
I know now that I want to be around my daughters a lot, who are 6 months old. First off, what is the main thing you're feeling and thinking, I guess a couple days after the season about your future?
Yeah, I think facing athletic mortality, as you know, or anybody that has ever gone through that, which most people who have ever played sports, whether it be they finish senior year of high school and they're done with their varsity team and their season ends and they're trying to figure out what they're doing next, or if they're going to school and college, or what they're going to study, or what their life is going to look like after their sport. And in some cases, like my own, when I started playing organized basketball since probably 5 or 6 years old, that this has been my identity for 30 plus years.
Wow.
And what that's going to look like after my career is over. And finishing my 18th season on Sunday, we played the Lakers and final buzzer went off. We went to the locker room and everybody went on their separate ways. All of these things, and not to say it happened in that moment, because it had been leading up to that as well in the season before. What is my life going to look like after, I throw those sneakers over the telephone wire, right? I take those off. I lay the jersey up for one more time. What is my identity? Who am I? What is my life going to look like moving forward? Because yes, I am a father. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for me outside of the world of basketball, and I've been able to build this legacy piece, which is the Kevin Love Fund and trying to impact people's lives like you have. And um, it's still very scary because that identity piece is a real thing, and it almost feels like a death. Like I lost
Mm,
my father last year, and it's not really like I'm comparing the two, although that hits close to home because he also played in the NBA. He played college at was a two-time All-American both in high school and college.
mm,
But it does feel like it's a huge loss is coming. So I think that also adds into the anticipatory grief as well, and that's what I'm dealing with. So I want to balance my time with my family and my daughters. Do I want to play another year and be away from them as they're changing? My oldest daughter is 2.5. She'll be 3 in June. Youngest turned 1 on Valentine's Day.
wow.
How do I want to balance that time? Have I done enough? Will I look back and regret? We talked about
Mhm.
inaction and action and how that lives in
Mm,
regret. But um, there's a lot there that is being considered, and I think that there's high and low in
mhm.
all of those emotions that have me contemplating and looking at a lot, and looking at myself in the mirror and asking myself, how am I really feeling in this moment?
How are you really feeling in this moment?
Confused.
Really?
It's confused. I think that came up before
Yeah,
we
yeah,
came on. It's like confusion is, an emotion and something I don't like, choose to explore
yeah. Yeah,
that
'cause you
often.
wanna be certain. You
Like
wanna be like,
I think I'm confused. I'm living in a little bit of fear, and it's not
"Mm,
for or lack of opportunity, but I don't know what my life is without basketball being that first love and that priority. I'm not saying now that I'm in fatherhood and I'm a husband that it's not my number one priority,
mhm,
but I've always kept the main thing, and I've chased that, and everything else I've wanted in life has chased me right back.
mm,
So what is my life going to look like outside of basketball? I don't know. So it's confusing. To say I'm not scared would be a lie, but on the other side of that, I'm just very grateful and hopeful that things will work out as they should, because I've learned a lot, and doing this work on myself, I'm a lot more comfortable in my own skin. And um, I always say only by admitting who we are do we get what we want. To be very honest
mm."
about that. I'm very honest about how I'm feeling right now, but still, I'd be lying to you if I said it wasn't a scary thing to consider, and it's now crept into my conscious and subconscious
Mm,
every single day,
really?
every day.
What's the thing you're most afraid of about the unknown of the
I don't
next?
I don't care about being forgotten. I mean, I think we live in a world now where even the biggest stories and
Mhm,
news cycles will be, kind of recycled and chewed up and spit
mhm,
out in a week, maybe 2 weeks, right? And I'm not worried about being remembered or how I'll be looked at within the NBA. Or within the game of basketball. I think it's um, some of it may be trauma related. Some of it may be just that anxiety of picking up the ball all the way
mm,
through middle school, high school, college, NBA to now. Just I've almost played half my life in the NBA. So like, what is it
wow.
going to be after the fact? Will my family be the same? Will my girls be taken care
Mm,
of? And I don't know. It's not necessarily uh, an identity crisis. It's not necessarily something that scares me not having basketball in my life. It's just more the unknown. I think scares a lot of people and gives a lot of people anxiety, and I'm no different. I'm the same way.
and there's probably a lot of people that are watching or listening that are like, whatever, younger, maybe haven't been successful yet, maybe don't have the money, that might be watching this saying, "This is Kevin Love. He's won all these accomplishments. He's a gold medalist, NBA champion. He's got all the money in the world related to most people. How could he have any stress or fear or worry based on everything he's created? He's healthy, he's handsome, he's got the family. Like, how can he be stressful? If he's stressed out and uncertain and fearful, and I'm a 20-year-old and I've got no money and nothing going for me, I'm screwed." There might be people thinking that. And what would you say to them who are saying, "Man, your life is made, Kevin.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
I would
you
say,
got
it happened. I can remember I use um, these references all the time about Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain,
mm,
dating all the way back to 2018. So it was really, I had my panic attack, very public panic attack in 2017, November 5th of that year at home in Cleveland. And 2018 started the fun, but we went to the finals, lost, and I can remember
2017, you lost.
no, 2018. So
Yeah,
2017 was the start of the season, and
yeah.
then 2018 was the
Gotcha.
finals. So Anthony Bourdain had died the morning of Game 4 of the
Really?
NBA Finals,
Really?
and
Wow.
I can just remember that. And he was a guy, like I always mention it. I mentioned it a number of times, spoken at length about it. Like he was a guy, he felt like he lived vicariously through him. He had the greatest job in the world, and uh, it was a great relationship. And obviously, he had suffered with addiction, had come through that, and now was like universally well liked and well loved, and seemed like he had everything right. And yet, I think it was Bryan Cranston who said it. I always reference him. It's like if you just look at all this and look at the face of depression, everybody's smiling, everybody's happy. There's all these comedians or these people in the public eye that seemingly have it all. Like Kate Spade had said, I didn't speak about it because I thought it would hurt my brand, right? And it sounds familiar. And Bryan Cranston had said, success is not immune to depression. So like, it doesn't matter who you are. There's, I would say there's nobody benefits from withholding compassion, and epigenetics are real. We spoke about that as well. So at a cellular level, depending on who your family is, who you come from, these generational cycles, it can quite literally live within inside of you. But again, I don't dismiss anybody's struggle, because everybody has their own story. Everybody's going to go through grief, the loss of a parent. Everybody's going to go through some sort of trauma at some point in their life, whether it be young and their brains are still growing and they're still understanding who they are, and their nervous system is growing as well. So I would hope that people understand that we are tribal beings and we're all in this together. So, and just like I've practiced gratitude within all of this.
Yeah. And I think it's also, we were talking about the documentary Weight of Gold, which I've mentioned so many times on this show. So I'm glad you brought it up because, a lot of times high achieving individuals like yourself or anyone at an elite level, they've usually come from some type of wound or some type of trauma where they're driven to overcompensate. That was me. To prove people wrong, to like whatever, to go for this thing and stand up for their dreams. That conditioning can teach us how to be driven to accomplish, but it doesn't teach us how to navigate our emotions.
No.
It doesn't teach you how to,
a lot of
and it doesn't teach you how to navigate success once you have it.
Right.
So this idea of the Weight of Gold, the documentary, which everyone should watch, talks about these Olympic gold medalists or medalists who go through extreme depression within months after their Olympic medal or the Olympics. And a lot of them commit suicide within the first year or two after the Olympics. So it doesn't, just because you succeed doesn't mean you're happy.
Right.
It doesn't mean you have peace in your heart. And part of that drive to success might be because you're lacking it.
Right.
And we think once we accomplish, we'll feel better. But that doesn't usually happen. You sometimes feel worse, right? Did you ever feel worse the more you accomplish?
Yes. And I've talked about that too, because you think it's going to fill a void.
Yes.
And you think that you truly believe in your heart that I can just achieve my way out of depression, or I will get rid of this anxiety because I will have achieved this. But like, we're so good at, I was even talking to somebody about it the other day because I just finished my 18th season. They're like, how long do you want to go? I was like, well, when I first came into the league, it was 10 years. Then it became 12 years. Then it became 15. At 18, I thought, might as well make it to 20. So you keep moving that goalpost and you keep dangling the carrot outside of what you consider success. I just kept thinking achieving more would, make me feel better. It would take these heavy and dark feelings away, and this feeling that still lives in the pit of my stomach, as we talked about every single day, that I continue to work on. And yet that just wasn't the case. I mean, it was actually very unhealthy for me to keep thinking like that and keep thinking I was going to establish more. I was going to have to make more money. I was going to have to get all these accolades, or I was going to have to just keep putting numbers on the board in whatever area that I thought would give me fulfillment.
Right.
And yet that's kind of where depression arises, or like comes up from dormancy, is when you think that your brain is going to change, or you think your nervous system, all these things are going to change within you. And yet you establish you go back to that baseline after that huge dopamine hit and that achievement, and you're left with the same brain that you've always had without doing the work. So it makes sense that you would get to even a more sunken place, hoping that would heal you.
Because you had an expectation, I'm going to feel better.
Correct.
I did all this work for years to
Yeah.
accomplish. I slayed every
Yeah.
dragon. I'm the winner of
Yeah.
whatever this game is. Why do I feel worse?
Right.
It's because you had this expectation and you still are the same person
Right.
with just more shiny objects.
And we talked about sprinters too, right?
Oh, yeah,
Imagine
yeah.
you run the 100-meter and you're training for your entire life, but even if you go from Olympics to Olympics and it's a 4-year window, then you're like, is this all there is? I thought this was supposed to heal me. I thought this was supposed to make me happy. And it's not to say that in that moment and long term, you're not going to be very proud and feel a sort of way about it, but to think that inherently that in itself is going to heal you is just not the case.
It's not the case.
And you see it time and time again.
On a scale of 1 to 10, currently in your life, how much pain do you feel in your body, in your nervous system, and in your emotions? 10 being like unbearable pain, 1 being you have complete inner peace. Where are you on that scale?
So, I talked about my knees. My knees would, scale of 1 to 10.
Not physical pain.
would tell you different. Yeah.
Yeah, not physical pain, but the nervous system, emotional, psychological.
Okay. So I would say on a daily basis, my nervous system and that feeling I told you of like that pit of anxiety in my stomach probably hums at a 5 or a 6.
Okay.
Which to me is like healthy. And I always talk about, I don't know if it's the anxiety or it's like the appropriate fear, that feeling of being out in public and agoraphobia and public embarrassment, or I'm doing something wrong, or people are going to look at me and people are going to figure me out. Like that has become a lot better. Can't tell you since how much better I've gotten with that since I started doing the work in 2017, that I actually not only feel more comfortable in my own skin, but I always say, like, you can't use me against me. Like I've laid out most of my cards.
You've 8-miled yourself.
Do you say this too?
I mean, I've said it before, but
are you literally say about this 8-mile thing? I have it. Hold on a second. You do this too? I'm like, you guys. Yeah, I use it. I'm like, B Rabbit when he's just like,
exactly.
I live in a trailer with my mom.
Exactly.
I'm a bum.
Yeah,
I use this all the time because it's like, what are you gonna say, Papa Doc? You're just gonna sit there and be like, I got nothing.
I've said, I wrote a whole book about all this stuff. The stuff I told you in here, like I've shared all this in a book. I've shared it publicly on the podcast, like all my traumas and wounds and fears and insecurities. You can't outshare my traumas of me and my shame. Right. I've shared my shame.
You can't hurt me. Like it's, if I've already lived all that, I've already put myself through the worst scenarios and worst so many times, and that conflict or how that would look come from somebody else, and I would just be like, yeah, okay,
no,
you're right.
Yeah.
So like, what else? You got?
Yeah.
There's nothing you're gonna do to hurt me, so that's fine. You're the only other person I've ever heard reference 8 Mile. That's so funny. I love that because it's so true. It's so true.
So you feel like you're at a 5 or a 6 every day,
but it's a healthy 5 or 6 if that even exists.
But there's still, you say, pain in the pit of your stomach.
Yeah, kind of chest area. And I take
daily
medications. Yeah, I have my SSRIs, and those help. Like the anxiety and that feeling isn't coming out my extremities, right? And I'm not sweating and then having the anxiety that I'm having something is going on, and then sweat more, and then I overheat, and then that becomes this whole thing where I have to remove myself.
Wow. Did that used to happen a lot?
Yeah. Well, and also it would manifest as where I didn't have the language to be able to express myself when I was young. So anybody that knows me knows I was rage fits. And that was what I saw from my father at home, because he also didn't know, that emotional intelligence wasn't taught to him at an early age. He only saw and knew what he knew and how to deal with it. And, we learn all these things from our parents.
I mean, speaking of your parents, you told me before that you spent 9 years not speaking to both your mom and dad.
Just
roughly.
About,
roughly 9 years.
Around that.
And this is when you were winning an NBA championship. I believe you won an Olympic gold medal during that time.
So that was before. Olympic gold medal is 2012.
Okay. Yeah. So it was before. You were still talking to them.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. But after that, you stopped talking to them.
Yeah, it was really around the 2016 playoffs and finals. So we and that's family dynamics are, they're layered, they're multifaceted, and they're tough. I mean, even my dad's side of the family, it's well documented with the Loves and even the Wilsons that within the frame of rock and roll, and what Brian Wilson and what Mike Love, my uncle, have spoken about at length, but also in their memoirs and autobiography. Like there's a lot of
Hmm.
trauma there. There's a lot of emotional depth there, and even the Wilsons themselves have taken it to different levels, and the Loves, and my uncle has done an incredible job in navigating rock and roll in that space. But he's been doing TM and transcendental
Hmm.
meditation for, I don't know, 60 years.
Yeah.
He's a one of the OGs in
Wow.
that, and done really great. But still, no, I mean, I think my dad caught a lot of that as well. And there were times where, the household, there was full of landmines, and if it was going to be screaming or something physical was going to
Yeah.
happen, or it was, just landmines, slam doors, screaming, all that stuff.
You know those moments when you're ordering everything to your house, when you get groceries, gear, random things you didn't even realize you needed until the last minute? Well, it just makes life a little bit easier. And now you can add internet to that list. With T-Mobile 5G home internet, you can get same-day delivery powered by DoorDash. No store visits, no waiting around for a technician. It shows up, you plug it in, and you're online in about 15 minutes with just one cord. For me, working from home on the podcast, that simplicity matters a lot. I'm on video calls, I'm uploading episodes, I'm researching guests, sending emails. And when everything just works, I don't have to think about it. I stay focused on what actually matters. They have fast speeds and it fits right into my workflow. Plus, there are different plans depending on what you need. Visit t-mobile.com/home internet to check availability and get your home internet delivered today. Same day delivery for most internet eligible customers. See if it's an option during checkout. Fastest according to Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data, second half 2025. All rights reserved.
When did you feel like you needed to create a boundary and say, like, I need to cut them out, or I need to have a boundary, or like, how did that come about inside of you to say, okay, enough is enough. This is not healthy for me to have this relationship at this season of life?
Yeah, I think it was, from my end, needing to take a look at myself and understand that I needed to grow too.
Hmm.
And sometimes if things adding up, you need to start subtracting. And I thought that in that case, keeping my circle small,
Mm.
even a lot of times I say less friends, less bullshit.
Hmm.
And in the case, it happened to be my family. But on the other side of that, it was, um, it led to so many great moments in me finding myself and being
Really?
comfortable in my own skin and going through that process, where at the end of my father's life, which was last April, it was a beautiful moment and of course everything wasn't figured out, and there were some things that we just wanted to put to the side and say, hey, let's focus on the good. Because I say a couple things can be, I talked to Dr. Conti about it, like two
Hmm.
things, so many things
Yeah,
can
yeah.
be possible and,
Hmm.
and true at the same time. Like,
Hmm.
I didn't get what I needed, but I also had a great childhood and got what I needed as
Uh-huh.
well,
Yeah.
which, so it was amazing. Like, my dad he would have had his 77th birthday on April 9th. My mom and I, my brother and sister, all chose to celebrate him.
Oh, that's cool.
And there was reconciliation and there was forgiveness at the end of it. And he was the guy I looked at as like my hero growing up. And he
Yeah.
was the one who handed me the basketball. But was he perfect?
No.
Was I a perfect son? Was our relationship perfect? No. And, um, I needed that time in order to find myself and to give myself, um, find both the good and the bad in it, but also it allowed me in my personal life to be a better father, both from his success and
Hmm.
even more so his failures. The same thing happened with my career through the lens of his life and his career. And then I think just overall satisfaction and fulfillment looking at him.
Mm.
So again, in all of it, he taught me a lot.
I'm
He's my
sure.
greatest teacher.
What was the greatest lesson he taught you on the empowering side, and maybe the side that you didn't enjoy as much, of what not to do?
So in terms of basketball, because I'll say that's where he had the biggest influence on me, was how to approach the game, and also like aggressive will, like going
Mm.
out there. And it's become such a country club sport now, whereas
Hmm.
like if you can pay for the trainer, if you can pay for the strength and conditioning coach, if you can pay for travel basketball and all these things that we couldn't afford.
Right.
Um, that he put me in a place to have a particular mindset. I didn't have the language to be able to like express myself and how I was feeling, but he channeled all of that rage and anger and showing me how to play.
Wow.
And through his mind and his failures, like he was very open and he admitted a lot about him not being able to, he didn't work hard enough. He was a free spirit. He was, playing for the Lakers and then uh, and playing is a strong word with there. And then, touring with the Beach Boys in the summertime. So like
Wow.
he wasn't, there was no,
Was living the dream
he was,
though.
I mean, he was
He
living the
was
dream, but then, his career only lasted just under 5 years. And,
mm,
he think looked at me and sometimes I caught, let's call it some heat and some ugliness from him because he probably saw me and thought, I don't want my son to, I guess, fail.
like
Even
I
though
did.
even though he made it in that way, but he
Yeah.
didn't want me to end up like him. He wanted me to have a long career, chase the game, put in the work, be a self-starter,
Wow.
and where he is free-spirited and just kind of went to the beat of his own drum, he wanted me to be a different way. So I think
Mm,
in that way he taught me something different. And also I think on the other side, it was, I mean, both good and bad because like we
mhm,
have daughters now and
mhm.
my sister's the youngest of the three. So I have older brother Colin, younger sister Emily, and he was so gentle with her.
Oh, that's
Right. So he
nice.
also like taught me that, whereas like not to be how he was with like my brother, especially, and still does, but like looks like a love, looks exactly like my dad did when he was born and growing up. So I'm like, that probably has to be tough for him. And then, for me, I was the outlier, the high achiever,
Mm,
and kind of the kid that was the golden child, number one player in the
mhm.
country, the kid that had to be protected. And while there in some ways were instances where he didn't do that, in other ways he was the guy that would take the bullet for me, stand in front of me. So
Wow.
again, there's duality in both of it.
Mm,
There's a balance, but it's true that I did get what I need, but also didn't at the same
yeah.
time.
And how did it come about where you started to come back together, before his
He got
death?
sick.
Mm,
Yeah, he got really sick. Yeah, I got cancer, and um, we had again talked about, and I mentioned it briefly at
mhm,
the beginning that regret is tied up so much in inaction. I did not want to regret at the end of his life, and then at the end of mine,
mm,
and in the short term, near term, and long term, how I would feel about not having some of those conversations and forgiving,
mm,
like that would be drinking my own poison, right?
yeah.
And then having some sort of reconciliation at the end of his life. So
And you got to have that.
yeah, it was probably the last, 16 months or so of his life, 16, 18 months. And then, he went into hospice about the last 6 weeks of his life. And then, like I said, late April of last year had passed away.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost been a year then. How
Yep.
are you feeling 1 year after his passing?
Still confused. Last
Yeah.
year was probably personally one of, if not the hardest year, um, of my life because he, had to watch him get his leg amputated. And, at a certain point, I forget what the statistics are, you break your hip past the age of 75 or maybe even
Mhm.
70. So like, and then you have
A window.
a
Yeah.
window of months. I think it's 6 months or a year maybe. And, he had broken his hip. So that sped up the process as well. So he had to get two surgeries within
Ugh.
the course of 4 days, and that
Ugh.
was
It's not
in
fun.
late October and then early November of last year. And then things just progressively got worse because it was apparent that he would never get out of his hospital bed again. So we moved him home, and yeah, hospice. That's where my mom is just such an angel and a godsend. I don't know how she had the capacity to physical and emotional capacity to be able to actually take care of him. She was a career nurse, and I mean, just I look at her with a whole
Wow.
new lens after that because she kept him alive for so long and was on call for him 24/7. I mean, it was really an unbelievable feat to watch. That's longevity right there.
Oh my
Crazy.
gosh. I've heard from a lot of people that say you truly don't become a man until you've lost your father and
Right.
until you have kids.
Yeah.
And I lost my father 4 years ago, and you lost yours a year ago, and we both have young kids now.
Right.
Do you feel like in any way that's true for you that you like now that you've lost your father and you're also a father, do you feel like you're stepping into being a man more?
For sure. Especially it's new for you having daughters. You're
No,
6 months in,
6
right?
months
With
in.
twins. So I mean, you had two, bang bang.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I have again 2.5-year-old daughter and a year old. And I think it's just completely changed my perspective, and
Mm,
they say it softens you when you have daughters too. It's
right.
funny, like I'll watch a news story because of course the news is so happy, and or I'll watch a movie that and I think it makes I don't know what people would say or if there's like science or data behind this, but hopefully it means I'm emotionally intelligent. It's like I am so much more of like a wet person now that I have
Oh,
daughters,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm softer because of
of
it, and I
course.
see things through a different lens when I see these stories about not only family conflict but loss, and movies with heavy emotional depth, and um, uh, familial adversity, those type of things that hit so much different now that I've had kids, and
Yeah.
from the loss of my father as well. But also, the good and bad in both, from the relationship with my dad. It also just taught me so much in what to be in a father,
Hmm.
in a big way. So I'm extremely grateful for that, and I choose to celebrate that,
That's cool.
through that lens.
That's cool, man. I want to go back to your your pain, your nervous system pain. I'm curious, what do you think would take for you to create true inner peace and to heal the different pain that you have that you're experiencing? And you've done a lot of work on this already. You've worked with like the top psychologists and
Yeah,
therapists and Dr. Paul Conti and who's been on here. But what do you think is at the root that you need to really heal?
I think it's that. I think it's, especially in considering where I'm at in my career as well. I think it's an accumulation of all of these things, and
Mm,
stripping it all back. But I do think it's. I was a precocious kid. I was an outlier. I was somebody who, from the age of 5 or 6, when I started playing organized basketball and was playing 3 grades up with my brother, people were like, "Ooh, that kid is,
something
special."
special. Yeah, yeah.
Right. And it was pretty apparent, what I could be. And I think unpacking, and my dad put a lot of pressure on me, and so did the community that I was in, and I was a big fish in a smaller pond in Portland, Oregon, but I was the number one player in the country pretty early, or a top few player in the country pretty early, and was
That's gotta be
expected.
that's a pressure also. It's like when
s-
someone says, "Okay, here's the number one
Yeah,
person in the country." And you're what, 16, 17, or 18? It's
yeah, maybe even younger, and I was
really? That's a lot of pressure.
yeah, I think there was a probably 14, I would say, because we went to the national championships in Orlando, Florida, and I came out of that, ranked maybe the number 2 or number 1 guy in the
For your
country
age group or for
for
like
age group.
this is AAU? Is this
Yep,
like
is
okay.
AU. So
Wow.
this for the country, and
Wow.
it was, yeah, pretty well known then that I was going to
The next
be
guy up. Yeah.
the next guy up.
What does that feel like? You're 14 and you're essentially the number one player in the
Yeah.
country. What does it do for your identity, your psychology? Like, does it excite you? Do you build a level of confidence that's like your ego explodes?
Yes.
Really?
All the above. And like that's where I'm like, I talked about like having shame shivers, and I still think about it now. And I've seen a lot of people that I went to high school with since, and every time I see them, I'm like, uh, in some cases I apologize, but I'm like, we were all feeling certain big emotions at that
Yeah.
time. I wish I could go back there and change this, but no, just like, if I offloaded hurt, I apologize,
Oh man, yeah.
because I was feeling some sort of way. And, like, of course, when you're young, it's like, you talked about, like, you wanna put your arm around your boy, and he's
Yeah.
like,
Get off me.
"Get off me," for, we use certain words for it, and,
Yeah.
like, it's just, I'm happy to see, at least, like, in my fun and the work we do now, like, kids are so much more open to being vulnerable, or open to change, which is really cool to see,
Mhm.
because I never had that, and
No.
I never really had those conversations. There was one other friend, and it's my other best friend from back home, is the only guy I would have that with. But even then, I'm just like, at other people's expense, I would offload these
Mm.
things, and I look back, and it kind of makes me sad, and I'm shameful of that. But I think going back to your question, it's been unpacking, I don't know, 30, 25, 30-ish years of expectation as well, and factor that into quite literally everything and what that means for, um, all of the emotionality that I've dealt with over the course of time. It's that word keeps coming back. It's confusing.
Mm,
It's very confusing. So unpacking that has been something that, I think will help start that process. And then the unpacking needs to continue to happen with whatever trauma or whatever I was feeling at the time, whatever confusion,
yeah.
and knowing that all of my feelings were valid, both good and
Yeah.
bad. I need to keep telling myself that, because I keep telling myself, like, who am I to think like that? It's just like the kids that you speak of,
Uh-huh.
like, look, he has everything. Why does he
Yeah.
feel like this? And it's like, different bucket, different scoreboard.
Yeah, man.
I don't think it matters. I think it transcends. Everybody has their story and how they deal with it and how they feel.
Do you think it would have been possible for you to have a quote unquote healthier childhood, a less traumatic childhood or a more healthy relationship with your emotions and your parents, and you still be able to accomplish what you've accomplished in your career?
See, that's a great question, because as an athlete, this, like, I always say it was a gift and a curse,
Uh-huh.
because my anger, my rage, that was like stemmed from the anxiety
Uh-huh.
and the whatever darkness, or not wanting to come out of the room, or not having the emotional availability or intelligence or bandwidth or budgeting my stress. I'd want to, like, stay in my room, in a dark room, and then go practice and lift weights, and then I'd have to go to school, and then, like, I wanted, like, a girlfriend to love me, and then,
Uh-huh.
like, be with my boys and be like it was, some of it was healthy, some of it not so much, but it was, I feel like that, especially the strong, heavy anxiety, was such a driving force. So I'm like, it was a gift and a curse.
Because
It
things,
still is.
yeah.
I always ask the question, and I don't mean this to be, um, it might come up, it might not, but I'm like, did I leave stuff on the table because I not because I started getting the help, but, like, did any of the medication, or any of the things that I did to,
Heal.
heal, which is overwhelmingly a positive, but did it take away that, like,
Edge.
edge to go for it? I don't know.
Really?
I don't know.
Do
I don't
you
know.
think you've been less successful in your athletic career since starting the healing
No,
process?
I think just at my prime, because of my body,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
was just earlier,
Yeah.
but that thought creeps in. I truly believe that, like,
Oh man.
I was on the athletic decline as far as my
Right.
athletic prime
You were
goes,
at the
but
top. Yeah, yeah.
without a doubt, my life satisfaction is higher,
Yeah.
right? Like, is there
Yeah, yeah.
fulfillment needs that are there on every side? Sure. Like, but again, I think it's
I'm cu-
continuing to.
yeah, I'm curious what life would have been like if if you just had a healthier relationship with emotions and parents growing up and you were cultivated an environment of being driven without anger. I wonder.
Well, it's like Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
And I just have to bring him up. I'm not
Tell me.
saying
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
anything similar, but that mindset of, like, he. I mean, I was only because I was talking about The Last Dance last night. I've watched it, I don't
God,
know,
it's so
six
good.
times,
Yeah, I love it.
and he's like, I took that personal, right? He would just keep making up enemies, whether it was real or not. He would just keep making up these things that happened, didn't happen, and so therefore, like, he's playing tricks on his
Mhm.
mind to create
Yeah.
that.
Tom
But
Brady did a lot of that too, it
he
seems
did a
like,
lot of
It's
that too, right? And he talks about it. I love his mindset too. And he's
yeah.
like, "What did he say? Like,
Yeah.
what was that?" Like, okay. And I think that you have to get your brain there, and people say psych yourself up in a way that, gets you to a point of reaching your
Mm,
athletic ceiling and capabilities. But, um, the question is, I don't know. But do I think I would have been able to achieve what I achieved without that form of adversity? I would lean towards saying no. So
really?
I almost feel like it's a good way of telling kids, like, you can work on it, but also find a way to
Mhm.
channel it as a gift, to put it elsewhere, put that energy elsewhere, harness it elsewhere. But I
Yeah.
don't know how, at least at the time, I didn't know if that was even possible. I
Mm,
still don't know if
yeah.
it's completely possible.
Interesting.
This message is brought to you by Apple and Verizon. And if you scroll enough online, you'll hear it all. Miracle diets, fitness trends, crazes like celery juice and cold plunges, you name it. But with iPhone and Apple Watch, you get meaningful insights from a very trusted source, your body, because the information you get should reflect the body you're in. With Apple Watch, you can track things like your sleep quality, your cycle, your cardio fitness, and more. You can then unpack all the information on Apple iPhone on the Health app, which allows you to track and view your data over time. And all these health insights are developed with experts from start to finish. Find out more at apple.com/health. Apple Watch is not a medical device and should not be used as a substitute for professional medical advice.
I mean, as a father now, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, I want my daughters to be successful in their life and accomplished, but I don't want them to have, I want to create controlled adversity
Yes.
that they need to learn how to overcome, but also give them a lot of love. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to like fracture their psychology. So they're like, I have to go prove myself to my dad or something. You know, it's like, that's not my intention. And I'm curious, do you know anyone in the league or who's maybe retired or still playing that really has a lot of love and peace in their heart, like truly has love? I'm not saying they're perfect and maybe they have some challenges, but they just seem like they're super healthy in their nervous system, and yet they're just killers on the court. Do you know anyone like that? Or you're just like, man, they just seem peaceful and calm and harmonious. I just watched the documentary with what's the guy's name, the former Laker, Lamar Odom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen this one yet on Netflix.
I'm not saying I lived it with him, but Lamar and I, we were on the World Championship team together, same agent. I was there. Yeah.
I mean, did you watch the Untold series with him?
Great. Yeah.
I mean, he's still got some stuff inside of him, but it's like,
oh yeah.
What was that
about
like?
A traumatic childhood? That was.
Oh yeah. Did he? I mean, what was that experience like with him then?
No, just being around him. I was there when he first started his relationship with Chloe, which had to have been around 2009, 2010, and
you guys were on the same team?
So World Championship team, we played in Istanbul and won a gold medal together.
Okay, USA team.
Mm-hmm. USA team. So then played against the Lakers. We had the same agent, basketball agent.
Wow.
And so I got to know Lamar pretty well, and even through all the traumatic experiences that I learned about that he had, and growing up, very traumatic. You could see where those came from, especially after watching that documentary. But you could also see the spiral in it all, and no one could prepare him for what was coming. It was really, really sad. And when you know somebody at that level, which I knew Lamar relatively well, it's painful to see. You sympathize and you feel for him in a major way, because that's one of your brothers. It's like, it's such an elite fraternity already. With 450 players, but when you win a gold medal with somebody and you've gone and been in the trenches with them, and this person has put his arm around you and helped you in your career, it's tough to watch that, especially when now just how far it went.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's dark.
It's very dark.
Is there anyone in the league then that you've seen or know that you're just like, oh, they seem to have it life figured out internally, and they can go out and do well at an elite level? Or has everyone just got trauma?
I think everybody does in some case. But I look at guys that, of course, like LeBron is an example, but like Steph Curry is a great example.
Yeah, he seems very peaceful inside.
He seems very peaceful inside. He
healthy.
He's very healthy, family life, healthy. He, has. A lot of what he does is based around faith and family. He just seems like he has an amazing foundation, and even 16 years into the league, is still performing at his level. He's the one that I would circle outside of the realm of guys that I've played with, even though he was on that 2010 team as well. But and I hated him for 4 years playing him in the finals. But he's somebody that I would circle as somebody who really has it together, emotionally, spiritually, and is taking care of his body. So like, just checked so many boxes.
So it's possible to be world-class, one of the best.
It is.
Yeah.
I think it's extremely rare.
Yeah, exactly.
Extremely rare. But I think that his biggest fight right now is probably like father time, and then time
Yeah.
in general, just being around his family and around his kids. But I
Hmm.
think that from the outside looking in and knowing Steph relatively well he has a great work-life balance, and he chases both with everything. He seems to have it. Like that is, it looks, that's what success
Hmm.
for the most part should look
Yeah,
like.
and he's
It
still,
looks right.
yeah, and
It
he
looks
seems
right.
like he's a good relation with his parents,
Yep.
and it's like
Yep.
he seems like joyful a lot of the
Yeah.
time,
And
you
he
know.
probably has, there's trauma in there
Sure.
and
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
things that have happened,
yeah,
but it truly seems like he's in a good place, and you don't get to where he is also
yeah.
without. He's a great communicator. You can
One
tell.
one of the things that he, you mentioned is faith. It's like after every shot, he's connected to God,
Hmm.
or after every make, it looks like. Um, what's your relationship with God and faith?
For me, it's always just I've had my own internal belief system.
Hmm.
It's funny. I've studied Muslims, Buddhists, Christians, Catholic. I'm not gonna say I grew up Catholic, but I grew up going to church with my grandmother. But
Hmm.
um, no, I just higher power. I guess I believe in that. I believe in
Yeah,
good energy. I do have a internal belief system and a belief system that is strong, but any which way, faith leaning, I'm not exactly sure.
yeah,
Like my
for
my wife,
sure.
my wife is Jewish, and so like I'm kind of spread
Yeah,
throughout.
all over.
I just love people.
I guess it's just interesting because you mentioned Steph is like the one guy who's in the league who's, I'm sure he's not the only one, but the highest level of success who also is connected to
Sure,
faith. I wonder if that brings him a level of peace
I believe
and
it does.
healing
Yeah,
that I'm curious to, you know, ask him that one day.
yeah,
Like, hey, do you feel like if you didn't have God or faith in your relationship, whatever that relationship is,
right.
do you feel like you would have this much peace?
Yeah,
I wonder what his answer would be.
I couldn't answer it for him, but I
Yeah.
would I would almost guarantee you with how him and Aisha met each
Uh-huh.
other and how they grew up and how his parents raised him. I would bet
Interesting.
that's the case, and those are great. Belief systems are
Yeah,
amazing to have. I
that's cool.
just think a big part of it is you find it in different stages and times throughout your life, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, for me, I think it's just everybody has their different belief system.
How do you plan to protect your peace going into this next season? Not literal season, but also season of life. Whatever you choose to do.
Yeah, I think just doing my work early. I think it's leaning into yeah, not only my therapy, but
Mm,
it's like the saying, "Kill the body, the mind will die." Take care of my body in case I do decide to play again, and there is a job there for me in a place that's gonna make my family and I happy. Focus and be highly intentional on spending the time with my girls,
mm,
because at this age, I mean, you're starting to notice it now too. Like they change so fast.
crazy, man.
They change so
Every day they
fast.
wake up, I'm like,
Yeah, even from so my youngest daughter, she turned one in on Valentine's Day, and even these couple months that have followed, the change has been astronomical. And then my 2.5-year-old, it's like every 2 weeks, it's you're not saying Ophagor anymore. You're saying Aquaphor. Like bring back,
wow.
bring back you saying words wrong,
Yeah,
please.
yeah, the
Like
cute
the
little, yeah.
cue is, oh my God, it's like the death of one stage, rebirth of
Ah,
another. But I'm like, I need that stage back. So I'm find myself scrolling my phone and looking at those.
oh
So
man.
that's what makes it hard being away. So I want to be highly intentional with
Mm,
my time spent with them, and then just also having balance, away from the floor and different things that I love, whether it be um, you know, writing or photography or travel or,
mhm.
any of those things that getting out in the sun and letting the sun hit me in the morning, like all these things
Yeah,
that, make me feel really good, both body, mind, and spirit. So like,
yeah.
I really want to focus on that. So no matter what happens, both good and bad, I will be prepared for it.
Has your mental routine changed over the last 18 seasons in the NBA where, you used to prepare a certain way before big games, now you prepare differently, or has it
Yeah.
been consistent throughout? And if so, what is that routine to get you mentally ready right before a game?
Yeah. I think it's all nervous system related now. Like
Really?
if I'm, whereas I used to listen to like, really like strong, heavy, like hard, either rap or music that would, inspire me to want to like channel
Destroy.
that type of, yeah, exactly. But like
Uh,
could kind of lose my emotions in it. Now it's like, could still be that level of cadence within like a beat or a rhythm or that sort of thing,
mhm,
but typically like no words,
really?
or it'll be something that like just calms my nervous system. So I
Mm,
think music is a part of my family, so therefore a huge part of my life is always on. So I think music plays a huge, and sound plays a huge part in that, as well as in terms of the senses. But mostly, yeah, eat the same. Make sure I'm fueled right. I shouldn't say eat the same as like my first few years because I didn't know what I was doing. But routine wise, everything is always very punctual, very much at the same time. A little superstitious in that way,
really?
but
What's the food? What's the same meal?
it's like it's like, white rice and chicken and
Uh-huh.
avocado and just making it sure it's balanced
Yeah,
and
yeah,
getting
yeah.
my hydration right. But it's so much more advanced now than it was when
Oh
I
yeah.
came in 0809.
Just having
It's
pizza
just,
or whatever you have. It's like
yeah, just whatever was there you grabbed and got the calories and hope it
yeah.
worked out for you and wonder why you crashed or you didn't, right? So,
At this age, you mentioned father time. That's something I'm trying to battle with as well, is like fighting father time. Is like,
right,
how can I extend my athletic journey towards my Olympic dreams for LA 2028
right,
the best way I can with a little over 2 years away? And I'll be 45 at that time. So the idea of like, how do I continue to stay mentally young and physically young to prevent injuries, to give myself the ability to live a dream? How do you think about the, I guess, mortality of your body in with 22-year-olds who are just freak athletes in the
right.
NBA now? Like these guys are jumping out of the gym, they're just doing unbelievable athletic
Yeah,
feats every night. How do you think about that, knowing, oh, maybe I don't have that little step that I
yeah,
used to have. Maybe I'm not jumping that many more inches above the rim that I used to.
right.
How do you navigate that internally, knowing the end may be a year, 2, 3 years away,
Right.
but it's like it's here at some point
Yeah.
sooner than it is later.
I'll try to use this for sure. Study the game, study film.
Yes.
A film doesn't lie. Hopefully, they haven't figured that out yet, so I have that advantage
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on them. But I think in terms of my body, it's like cortisol, cortisol, cortisol. Like, how do I keep the inflammation down? Because I
Really?
always, there's always some sort of stress response or something that will set you off throughout the course of the day. But if you can try and limit that as much as possible, while also knowing that you're going to be burning it at both ends if you're going in and lifting weights
Yeah,
and
man.
and doing sprints and putting all that stress on your body and your knees and your back over the course of time, it's certainly an accumulation. I have a lot of miles on me, having played 18 seasons
Yeah.
plus, working out in the summertime, plus playing, USA basketball. So, for me, it's keeping the inflammation down. It's eating right. It's sleeping right. Having proper balance so there's no burnout. Um, but again, I'm never going to get those steps back that I once had. It's
Oh man.
mostly just stabilizing, seeing where you can improve. Summertime, off season is a
Hmm.
is a is a great chance to do that. Always being curious and trying to learn as much as you possibly can about how you can help your body, how you can help your
Hmm.
body grow, mind grow, and hopefully you'll be able to teach those guys something.
Man, because I'm kind of in that season now as well, where I can see I'm still able to be effective and I'm
Yeah,
athletic.
just can't do it
And
all
I'm
the
like,
time.
but I'm not jumping 360
Nope.
one leg off
Nope.
one, landing on the same foot, like, reaching back and doing all the crazy stuff you used to when you're 26.
Nope.
And you can just recover like that.
Yeah.
And so, how do you think about it around confidence and psychologically, knowing that you're, I don't want to say you're not as good because you're better in other ways,
Yeah.
but athletically, you're just,
Yeah.
I
You
didn't
wish you
have
had this mind with that body.
exactly.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it psychologically to not let your confidence go down, knowing that you're a different athlete? Let me say that.
Yeah, I think it's focusing. Like I know that at a very elite level that I can still rebound the ball. At elite
Mhm.
level, I can shoot the ball. At elite level, I can pass the ball, and also admitting like where I'm at in my career, but understanding where I add value. Right. So
Mm.
focusing on those things, fine tuning as well. I always say you can hear a great team. So like our young guys don't like to communicate. I
That's
didn't
it,
hear
man.
much this year.
That's it, man. Yeah.
So that was a great thing that I learned, especially when I got to the Cavs and had to be a championship team, is that we had to speak, we had to communicate, if not off the floor, then on the floor, to get the best out of each other. So I think that's
It's a both and, on and off.
on and off. I mean, you need it, but there's exceptions to the rule. Like, of course, Kobe and Shaq hated each other at
Yeah,
some
yeah.
point, and
But
yet they were just two of the top few players in the league at the
yeah,
same time playing on the same team. So there's that. But no, we were great communicators, and we also had fun together, and we trusted each other. So I think that was,
yeah.
yeah, that was huge.
I hear a lot of, it's talk and touch. It's like the more you talk with each other, and the more you touch each
Yeah,
other. High
Steve
five,
Nash, he was
Steve
like had
Nash,
the
right?
most.
Didn't they do a study on
Yep,
him? Like
yep,
the most touches,
yep,
he was like of
yep.
the whole season, right?
hmm
It was
It's
him,
like positive affirmations, basically,
and he was
just
the
like to his
MVP.
other
Like
teammates. Yep,
he had the most touches,
yep,
and he was always positively speaking
yep,
into the players.
yep.
And I think if the
It's funny how that
coaches,
works.
isn't that interesting? It's the talk and touch, and I think that's something I'm thinking a lot of this season of my life in handball is like I can cheer the whole game on
Yeah,
the if I'm on the bench and I'm not playing, I can be cheering and screaming positively for each player on, and that's what I do. If I'm not playing in the game, I'm like, "You got this, keep it up." I'm just speaking
yeah.
and trying to encourage others to communicate because that's
It's
infectious.
leadership. Yeah.
And it's a workout too, screaming the whole it's
Oh
like
yeah. Oh, I have that first seat next to our coaching staff. It goes down the line, and I for the most part try and be the first out to give everybody love
yeah, it's good.
after a timeout or after the end of a quarter,
Uh-huh.
something like that, because I think that is infectious, and you see more and more people jumping off the bench and going to do that. So
Mhm.
celebrate your teammates. I think it's huge, and you need to be in that positive mindset, because as in athletics and in so many like you're one play away. You're one play away. Like, it's just the reality of it all,
From
right?
what?
Like, from
It being
playing
o
both.
Oh, okay.
So if you're out there playing big minutes, if something
Oh,
were to
yeah, yeah.
happen to you, you see it all the time, the next person is going to be up coming to take your spot, right? And if you're in a bad mindset and you're not celebrating that person, you're thinking, like,
Screw this,
screw the
yeah.
team and the organization, they're not giving me my opportunity. Like, you're so much better off being in the other, like, growth type of mindset, and celebrating others and celebrating your people in the locker room, while establishing a healthy locker room and healthy space and healthy culture,
Mhm.
that when you have the opportunity, I think you're so much better off with that. You're going to have your teammates trust, and they're going to be like, oh, I like playing with this guy.
Mhm.
And those minutes are going to be there. So, like, you have to keep working. You have to be
Yeah.
intentional about how you do it and how you navigate it.
With everything you've been through in the last 18 seasons in the NBA, from the wins to the family dynamics and the boundaries you've had to create to the coming out publicly about anxiety, depression, and starting the healing journey to, coming back with your father in the last couple of years, all these different things. What would you say are the three things that have defined you over the last 18 seasons of your life in the NBA?
I would say, certainly the first thing that comes to mind is being outspoken about uh, my mental health, how it's affected me, and how I've come out the other side, and the community and fund that I've created, and impact not only on on others, but myself through it all. So that's one. Um, how important my relationships in my life have been to me. Like, there's the
Mhm.
family you're born to, the family you make along the way, right? The family that I've made along the way, and the relationships that I've leaned into. And really specifically, there's been people that have been with me over the course of time, meaning my two best friends from back home. And then, I've been with the same agent. I've been with a few of the same people my entire career, but
Mm,
really the last 10 or so years. I say 10 because that was our 2016 team won the championship. And
yeah.
then in 2017, 18 was a really tough and trying year for me. After that, everything I learned about myself, and those people who were
Mhm.
continued to be there for me.
And you learn about the people who show up for you during those times
Totally.
and those who you thought would have,
Yeah,
that you're probably no longer in your
I
life.
agree. So that's where
Interesting.
where that comes in as well. And also, I would say now, because it's so fresh on my mind, and because having lost a parent just this past year, yeah, what fatherhood, what has taught me, what is most important, and how much fatherhood and being a parent
Mm,
changes your life. So I'd probably
mm.
say 3 things.
Mm.
So it's, the mental health journey. It is
Relationships,
relationships and friendships, and then it's
fatherhood. That's
fatherhood.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And, I hope you get to 20 if that's what you want, or as long as you want to go towards. But if you could go from year 18 and if you could go into the future to the last day of your NBA career, your last game where the shoes are out on the court, the jerseys hung up, what do you want this moment until the very end of your NBA career to be the things you're remembered for, separate from these first 18 years?
I think especially now, I've speaking of fulfillment, I mean, we talked about fulfillment and searching for that and wanting that, and what makes me happy now is like the impact that I've had on guys. I never
Mhm.
thought I would be that guy
You're
because I
right.
think
One of
coming into the league, I was so had the blinders on, and had some very selfish and narcissistic qualities, which again, it's like you sometimes you need those, and you have to be a little off to
Mhm.
be great or have
Yeah.
an opportunity to be great. And you sacrifice a lot, and you think I deserve this because I've put in the work and I've had these breaks, and this is, it's mine for the taking, so it's me. But again, that one of the things I do look back at is like, would it have been a less lonely existence my first 6 years in the league in Minnesota had I been like, all right, guys, like
Mm.
wrap my arms around my teammates. We were losing so much. I'm like, I'm gonna go out and try and will us to victory. But if not, I'm gonna, put up serious numbers, and either you guys are coming with me or you're not. So I was like,
Wow. Yeah.
it was one of those things. So I didn't realize what it meant to sacrifice and be a great teammate until I got to Cleveland, and
Really?
it came with some
That's those
tough,
Ohio boys,
yeah,
It's like
it's like it came with some tough learning experiences. But no, if not for Cleveland, if not for Ohio, if not for the Cavaliers, having learned those lessons, some the hard way, some not so hard, but some very much the hard way, then I wouldn't be who I am today, and
interesting.
leaving guys in a better place professionally and
Wow.
personally in their careers, because I never had that veteran my first 6 years in the league. Not somebody like that.
Who taught you this in Cleveland? Like, how did this come about
It
where you're
was
like,
Channing Frye and Richard Jefferson.
really?
Yeah, they were like
Jefferson,
my
huh?
yeah.
That's cool.
Which people would, if you know Rich, he actually has a true emotional depth and curiosity
Mhm.
to him. And I just saw him the other day. He's been amazing. Obviously, has this great personality, great TV personality, but like getting to know Rich has been amazing. And then Channing is somebody who I truly love and respect, and is one of my best friends, and somebody I've been through truly a lot with. And he's been very
Mm,
outspoken about his own struggle. So it's really those two that helped me, find myself in that way. And I thought I want to be like them, and that
really?
I want to be a great teammate. I want to leave a lasting impression on people, and uh, they're just guys that I looked at as leaders in that way that helped me find
Wow.
myself.
I want to ask you about this. You've been on a lot of different teams with USA basketball teams to different teams in the league. Is it something different about winning a championship with a group of guys that makes you connect with
Yeah,
that team differently than just all other teams?
for sure. And it's really top of mind now because, like I said, it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
So, we have our group chat, which it's 6 of us on
Still,
there that we're so close. And
really?
Channing and Richard are on there as well.
Come
And
on.
we talk every day. We were texting this morning. And because of, I mean, a perfect example is like J.R. Smith.
Gosh,
His
that guy.
daughter was born very prematurely, and
Mhm.
we went through that with him. And we're all very much feeling for him and scared that he was
Mm.
going to lose his daughter at the time. So we were there for him through that, and she's happy and healthy. Channing Frye lost both his mom and dad in the same month.
Wow.
So we were all there for him. Tristan Thompson lost his mother, same thing. I lost my father, same thing. Like we all um, showed up, for each other in major ways. Richard, same thing. LeBron has, been very open with us about a lot on that text chain, and of course we keep it very fun. And some of the
Mhm.
stuff
Yeah.
isn't suitable for work.
Yeah, you've got the memes in
Oh
there.
yeah, all
Yeah,
that. But we show up for each other, and that is, such a major part of the friendship and the brotherhood that was the Cavs, but those are
Mm.
relationships that you develop over the course of your career. But specific to that team, having gone through all those battles, having lost in 2015, having lost
Mm.
in 17 and 18, but winning in 16 in the
Gosh,
manner that we did, and how
down 3-1, right?
together, yeah, we
So it was
were. We had
down
nobody had
3-1.
ever done it before. We did it on the
That
road,
was
and
incredible.
yeah, I mean, we had many guys throughout the course of that run, including those 7 games against the Warriors, step up in a major way. So we'll always be connected. And now we're planning a 10-year reunion trip. So we'll see what
Oh,
happens.
that's cool, man. I remember I was coming back from a USA handball trip in Buenos Aires
Yeah,
when you guys won, and I was losing my mind because
yeah,
I'm from Ohio, so I was like,
yeah.
it was the greatest thing.
52-year drought.
It
Yeah,
was the greatest feeling. I was just like, we'd always suffered. So Cleveland Browns, Cleveland Cavs, it was like we've just suffered.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you guys really brought it back, and so I acknowledge you guys for that. That was a lot of fun. Um, this has been powerful, man. I'm really grateful for you opening up, and hopefully we'll have you back on in the future sometime.
Please,
Maybe
yeah. What
when
more to talk about?
the last season is done, we'll come talk about and
Yeah,
see,
how what that time felt
what
like
that
leading
time
up.
frame,
Yep.
because you mentioned the one thing you want to do is to really have an impact on the guys that you're surrounded with
Yeah.
over these next however many seasons you
Right.
play left.
Yep.
And I think that's a great way to, you know, bookend your career is about impact.
Hmm.
You've had all the success and winning, and you'll probably still win and succeed. But I think from you going through the healing journey, starting almost a decade ago, and finishing your career, whenever that is, being about impact and service,
Hmm.
I think is going to be even more healing for you
Right.
on this process, whether it's one season or 5 or whatever you choose to do. So I'm excited to watch, man. I'm excited to see your journey. And if I can serve in any way, please let me know.
I appreciate
But
it. Likewise.
very excited about this. I have 2 final questions for you before I ask them. I want people to follow you on social media and check out your fund
Yes.
or the foundation. Can you
Yeah.
share more about this and what this is all about?
Yeah. Kevin Love Fund is kevinlovefund.org. Of course, you can find me on just look for the memes
Kevin Love
on.
everywhere on social
Yeah, yeah,
media.
just yeah, look for the memes and you'll find me. But
But the
we
Kevin Love Fund, why did you want to start this, and who's it about serving?
so I think it all started after the 17 panic attack, and we started the fund with just the hopes of impacting people as we could, both mentally, emotionally, spiritually,
Mhm.
physically. And what we kept finding myself asking, I kept asking myself, and others kept asking me, like, what would you tell your 15-year-old self? Or what what do you wish you could, talk about, like that 5-year-old giving the
Yeah.
hug. What do you wish that you could tell that person? I thought, what I didn't have was the emotional language in order to be able to express myself in a healthy way, maybe especially as a young man and a young
Mhm.
boy. So I thought, what if there's a way to implement education, and where it isn't just the spoken word, or isn't just language, that we can help kids create, a very healthy way of being able to express themselves if they don't have that. So we had started a curriculum. Kevin Levin started a curriculum that is based around uh, vulnerability and social and emotional learning. And we started it in the classroom with the teachers, showing
Mm.
what that looked like. And then among their peers, there was, many different, up to a dozen to first, when we first started, different lesson programs and lesson plans that we started with kids on how to, show what they were going through, or tell their story, or tell a story with somebody going through something at arm's distance. So it was creative writing, it was poetry, it was photography, it was music, certain things like that. And we've worked with many different great people that have showed us how, they have done it along the way. And we partner with people like Sony, and we worked
Mhm.
with Steph Curry and the GOAT. And
Yeah,
animation has a really cool way of being able to show true emotions. And
that's
sometimes it's
cool.
hiding in plain sight. We worked
Yeah,
with the Spider-Verse. We did a short with them, and
that's
Miles
cool.
Morales. And so they've been a great partner in that. But we just continue to, evolve the curriculum, and we have something coming up in May where it's based around friendship. So we talked about that as well, and really
Yeah,
leaning into relationships, how they
man.
impact everyone, healthy relationships moving forward. And and finding your tribe and,
Yeah, man.
making sure that, you find that in a healthy way to combat any sort of thing that you're feeling.
Yeah, the thing you got coming out in May 1st is called the Friend Effect, is what I'm
Yes.
reading here. Creating community and building positive relationships. And it's a new free mental health lesson that's available for educators, school counselors, and coaches nationwide.
Right.
And so it's starting on May 1st, first day of Mental Health Awareness Month. And it's available for immediate access at kevinlovefund.org. So I recommend people going and checking that out. I wish we had stuff growing up where we could just express ourselves in a
Yeah.
safe environment without the other guys making fun of us.
Right.
It really affects a young boy's psyche when and it's not the other kid's fault. They didn't know how to receive, this emotions or
Mhm.
this communication, or someone putting their arm around them. They didn't know how to respond either. So I don't blame other kids. Like, we're all kind of at fault for this, but we just never had a place to share a voice of like our concerns without being told, shut up, suck it up, like stop crying, don't be a little baby, whatever it is
Yeah.
that we all experience, especially as young men,
Right.
to not express emotion. And it's counterintuitive to being successful
Right.
in sports.
Yeah.
Showing weakness, showing emotion,
In
showing them you're
anything.
tired, whatever it
Right.
is. Like, you can't show any of that.
Yeah.
Just be a man. It's like, how do you do
Sure.
that at 8 years old? It's impossible.
It is impossible. And like, it's funny because like on the other side of that, you're paying for it now.
Oh yeah. You pay a big
You
price
pay a
the
big
rest of
price.
your life.
Yeah.
All your relationships suffer after that.
Yes.
Every
You
relationship.
got like, what do we always say, right? Like, you got to put your own oxygen mask on first. But
Exactly.
if you don't have that intervention early enough, and that's why, we work on this at the fund, it's like you need some safe space. And why not have it be around your peers and not having
Mhm.
to go down the hallway, not having to do it at home?
Yeah.
And the more people that share, the more of a tribe and a community you create. And we've seen it work at a very high level.
Yeah,
And so
man.
very, very proud of that. Very proud of the work we're doing. And yeah, the focus on friendship
That's
is
great, man.
fun. Finding your tribe. Yeah.
I want people to check it out, kevinlovefund.org. You can also go there and make a donation. School of Greatness is making a donation as well, because we believe in, we really donate to a lot of youth programs and kids education. And for me, emotional intelligence and healing is the most important thing we can all invest in. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad you're doing this, man.
Appreciate it.
Make sure to check out at Kevin Love on social media to see where he's going next in his
There we go.
career as well. We'll all see where that's happening, hopefully soon. The two final questions I have for you. This one is called the 3 truths. And it's a hypothetical scenario. So imagine you get to live as long as you want to live in this life.
Okay.
And you get to create and accomplish everything. You get to end your career as an NBA player the way you want to, and build a life the way you want to after that. But for whatever reason, on your last day, many years away, you have to take all of your work with you. So this conversation, people don't have access to. Anything you shared publicly, anything you create, it has to go with you to the next place. No one has access to your content anymore. But on the last day, you get to leave behind 3 final truths, which would be your personal lessons of life. What do you think, going into the future, would be those 3 truths for you that you would leave behind?
Nothing haunts us like the things we don't say.
Yeah.
Like, if we hold on to that, it's going to manifest or come out in some sort of way. And more often than not, I feel like it's not going to be good. So like,
It's not healthy.
it just, again, and that doesn't have to be verbalized. It's just like I was saying at the fund. There's
Mhm.
different ways in ways to do that.
Yeah,
So
that's
nothing haunts
beautiful,
us
man.
like the things we don't say. Things won are done. Joy's soul lies in the doing. Set out to do. And try to live your life relentlessly curious without fear or prejudice.
That's great. You had those a lock. Those are like clear for you. Final question. What's your definition of greatness?
I think, I always use the term, and it's not mine. It's just something that I've tried to adopt and gear my life towards. And I'm not perfect.
Mhm.
Especially after the season, I'm like, I'm just going to eat what I want and drink wine. And like, I don't care for 10 days, whatever it is. But, discipline is deciding between what you want now and what you want most.
Mm.
So, and I think discipline is the path to greatness. Like, I've
Mhm.
had to, change my diet, change how I take care of my body, be more disciplined in my relationships, sleep better, the list goes on, and all of that is the destiny is all through that discipline. I know that, like Ryan Holiday, discipline is destiny, right? Like I truly believe that, but I think deciding between what you want now and what you want most, I think that is the path. It might not be the definition, but that is certainly the path to where you want to go, is all through discipline.
Jim Love, my man. Thank
Appreciate you. Thank
Powerful, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you think about the model, thoughts, emotions,
Yep.
behavior,
Yep.
and those three, the swirl of those three is really the output, is what performance is. And if you have high performing thoughts, high performing emotions, high performing behavior.